What is going on, students? It's Devlin Cassidy, aka The Scholar, and welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're doing the Bigbelly deck profile from earlier this week in the Match Monday video that you guys saw on the channel. If you have not seen that, please go check that out. It's a fantastic game between me and my teammate Zach, and I really hope that you guys do go enjoy. But before we get into the deck profile, I'm going to shout out two of my sponsors to start off the video. If you guys need any playmatch deck boxes, sleeves, the whole 9 yards, please, the whole 9 yards. Whew, a lot to get through. Please go check out my boys over at dankritual.com, and they're going to get you right with some of the best, like, backpacks, travel bags, everything like that. They're absolutely fantastic brand and wouldn't recommend anybody else. And then if you need any cards, of course, please go shop with my team sponsor, kingslayercards.com. Use the promo code SCHOLAR, save 5% off on your order. The Stride deck sets are coming out. The Harry deck sets are coming out. The Night Rose deck sets are coming out. Splits are coming out. Everything, so you can go save some money, get yourself some cardboard. Absolutely, entirely worth it. But enough of me yapping. I know you guys are here to see me and my deck, so let's get into it. So for the grade 3s, we are going to start off very simply here. 2 of the G belly and 2 of the V belly. The reason we are on the 2-2 split is actually quite very simple. The reason that we want these belly ratios in particular is because actually now we're at a point in the meta where neither really ride up matters. V belly is very good for that consistency draw on that defensive end where you get to really maximize your deck if you have a lot of units that you can commit, and then you get to draw and retain those cards with an Ardillo guard for 37. However, the G belly actually lets you be very, very proactive in terms of making Excel markers, forcing for a damage. If you're given excess CB, you can actually really convert that into a lot of draw power with this on-stride skill plus Wisdom Teller. So both turns for ride-ups are very, very strong. And sometimes you prefer this over this, and so this just lets you see these better both with mini belly with the top 5, as well as whatever G mini belly you have, you can go search these with Mike Sabaru. So both are absolutely fine. I mean, even going second, sometimes you do want to go into the G belly play just given some potential circumstances, because Great Nature really rewards players that can read an adaptive situation and know how to play accordingly to gain the correct value. So that way they can set up for their future turns as we try to push into the long game where our game plan and strategy gets better. So that's the ratios there for our good old Panda friends. For the remaining Panda friends, just one of the G belly of the Amazing Professor. This is just the Crown Tiger clone restand. They're Forbidal target to extend attacks. Nothing really to say much there. If you know the clan, you know that card. And then we're going to go 2 copies of Rhino. Rhino is still really good. Rhino's still a very classic win condition for the deck, but I think maybe in the future we could go into a direction where we don't see Rhino played as the win con. And really Great Nature could transform to a value deck depending on what in the future comes out. And maybe Bigbelly maybe not be the way to play the deck anymore if you still want to play Great Nature. I'm still trying to cook some sauce up for Isabel, so stay tuned for that. I'm really trying to make that deck work, as that was the card that got me into Great Nature. So we'll see what happens. But as for now, 2 Rhino, your win con. No zeros when it's at 20,000 power greater, gives itself 4K. So it's a great synergy card with Calidrius, and we really want to do maximize this card for sure. And then the final grade 3 is the Forbidal Surrogate. Again, really good card. No reason to not play it. We'll tutor cards out of the deck. Will help you revive if you've already found these pieces, which is huge because, a lot of your strides retire everything at the end of the turn. So wanting to be able to get those cards back is very important for you to have. On to the grade 2s here. We got 4 copies of Crayon Tiger. Crayon Tiger is still the staple, still, the mainstay of Great Nature. Look at him. So cute. I missed my G foils. I'm probably gonna put these back in, honestly, because the triple R's grew on me just for whole max rarity sake. But the G double R's definitely hit different. But for those that don't know what this little guy does, he is on attack. You counterblast 1 when you're attacking a Vanguard, and you get to stand a unit if he's boosted, and then at the end of the turn you'll draw a card, but also that unit gets 4K until the end of turn. So he's your classic restander plus draw power. This card is absolutely fantastic. Always a staple in most Great Nature premium decks, including Hamsuke and other things. So this just isn't Bigbelly restricted. So this card's really seriously one of the best cards in the clan. And so if you are not playing 4 of this, you have to give me a really good reason why. But who knows, because this also can be looked at as a win more card depending on what type of Great Nature build you're going for. So do not worry, do not fear. Crayon Tiger is there, not here. Next on to the other grade 2s, 4 copies of Spool Mary. Spool Mary is still, again, a very good combo piece. It pops itself out of soul when it's ridden upon, so you really don't lose the value for riding it, which I really enjoy about this card a lot. The other thing too you can potentially look at is maybe some different synergies too, but her big thing is when she attacks, you get, if you have a Bigbelly Vanguard, you get to have herself get 10k as well as your Vanguard. So there's certain attack patterns where you'll swing her first to get your Vanguard a little bigger to apply some pressure, but she also retires herself at the end of turn, so be mindful of that. But hey, if you're on the V-Belly, it turns into another draw and you get a free beat stick that again can make herself very easily over 30k given the right scenarios. Then here for the last grade 2, we're playing 2 of the Blusher Parakeet. Again, this is just a very good synergy card. You can either here play with the ratios between Spolmary and Parakeet, or what you can do is you can play to maybe find a way to cut this and cut maybe a Spolmary or 2 to play Compass Lion, which is the 13k defensive grade 2, which has a lot of application inside premium as well. However, I just kind of like this for the check top 7 because, you know, it makes your deck a little more consistent. You don't have to have the combo pieces with Mike to have everything, you know, fire off, which I really do enjoy about the deck. But I just think Parakeet's a little better. Plus, if you call Parakeet to the rear guard and you have the Mike, then it's double value if you hit off the Parakeet. So it just lets you be a little more aggressive and, you know, kind of clears your board so that way you don't get like damage denied on its own. So again, just very, very good card. I think it's very safe. Definitely Parakeet's still a very good staple card of Great Nature. On to the grade 1s, 3V Mini Belly, 1G. You definitely can play with these ratios. The reason I like V Mini Belly so much is that it's conditioned to get the 5k is very easy to fulfill in this deck. As if you have a unit on an additional rearguard circle, he gets plus 5k. So he's a 13k booster behind a Crayon Tiger. That's a 22k booster, which is 22k attack, which is a magic number into Force and Excel Clan, or Protect and Excel Clans. Man, I got my words all backwards today. What is up with me? But you get to go attack really well into Protect and Excel Clans, so you really just get to wear those down in terms of them having to guard 15Ks instead of 10Ks, which is most of the time what they'll be guarding when they're swinging for 16 and stuff. And then, you know, if you equate your front row power gain, you can also hit magic numbers like 32 and such. So like just this makes your better numbers. Just check top 5. This can add a Heal Guardian and such as well. Maybe a Rhino if you're needing that combo piece that early. But also the G Mini Bill is just there for good consistency, as well as Stride Fodder, because a lot of the grade 3s in our deck, we don't want to be pitching for Stride unless we've already ridden into like a G Belly or a V Belly, and then the G Belly's kind of dead in terms of, you know, getting the maximum value out of that with the Wisdom Teller. Of course, our staple that I raved about in the Match Monday video, Mike Sabaru. I love this card, but boy, Great Nature needs some help, man. I'm really, you know, sad that we still have to play these 5Ks. I mean, this is kind of like Great Nature's Purple Trapezist in a way, where like you kind of have to run it because it's a necessary evil because of how good the card is, but it just feels really bad, especially as numbers get better inside the premium format, as more D-series cards are actually introduced to the premium format, that the shield value becomes a real area of concern. And these, you know, push to late game combo decks, as well as just because Pale Moon gets so explosive with the Purple Trapezist, this, you know, just has you attrition for value. So while this card gives the ability to another rear guard to say that, hey, when it's retired and put into the drop zone at the end phase, you get to go search for a grade 3. It's just still the shield is still an area of concern for this deck, but this card is just still too good to pass up given the current Great Nature card pool. So I still think this is a mandatory 4 of. Then going on into good old PGs. Before we get into the rest of the cards here, I'm going to just show these off simultaneously. 2 Deli Belly, 1 Elementaria. These are your free PGs in a way. Deli Belly will let you draw a card at the end of the battle that you PG'd. You get to Soul Blast 1 to countercharge, draw a card, which is really good to help you, you know, recur some of that value back if you didn't see a Pangolin. And then, of course, you know, you get to your Elementary here, which is the premium staple, so you want to be playing that card absolutely. Then we got, of course, 2 copies of Pangolin. This is your countercharger. This lets you also play through Honolly. I got a few comments on the video being like, hey, Devlin, how do you play through Honolly? Pangolin lets you do that very efficiently, as well as what you have to do when you see your opponent drop a Honolly or activate a Honolly on your board is be able to understand how much damage you can take plus Pangolin to make sure that you can still push through numbers. Because, you know, taking damage necessarily isn't bad. It lets you retain and farm a little bit more to where you can really play into tempo in the late game if your opponent are on clans that don't have very strong finishers like Bartholomew and Grand Blue. So just, you know, Pangolin, again, very, very good. Just being able to do that too. If at the end of the battle a unit attacks, it was 20k or greater, you get to countercharge and soul charge 1. So it gets your soul big for Septicon, but as well as this just helps you force through plays. So most of the time you're just whacking this effect on a Rhino, since you're going to be restanding Rhino the most, and it just lets you, you know, play on 1 CB regularly too, if you want to call the Pangolin, just to get some value for sure. And then I have for the last grade 1, 2 Honolly. I think Honolly's still fair to play in Great Nature just because our rogue matchups are very interesting. So I think that we need to be playing this card for sure. Moving on into the triggers here. We're going to play 4 copies of Pawn Belly. This card is still as insane. The fact that we get this back in History Collection is still just very huge. The fact that it gets the errata and everything. I really do love this card and hope to continue to have really good erratas and retrains introduced into premium format if we're not going to get direct premium product support, because these coming back as 10Ks also very help the Great Nature kind of soul issue if you want to push Recepticon, but also let us get really good like value return rear guards in Bolaro, because you can just call these, threaten them to draw a card, and then they're going to get guaranteed draw a card. So these cards are really good actually, just to have that more Great Nature viability options, plus the defensive draw again, letting us keep our aggression inside a crit trigger, but also having our defensive liability in terms of how Great Nature functions because of its low shield value be very, very strong and well equipped. So 4 of the Pawn Belly for sure. And then we're playing 4 of the Enzoshin. This is just your stride crit because, again, you don't want to be pitching your grade 3s. You want to be pitching your stride fodders. So this is just really helpful to have us not pitch our combo pieces, even though it does suck that we have to pitch a 15k shield. Then for the final crit of the deck, 2 Curious Pony, again to serve the same function as Pawn Belly without the defensive draw, but again still be very good to help push to soul and threaten really well on Bolaro turns. Then I'm going to play 1 copy of Cable Sheep, this beautiful Asuka rare. Still one of my favorite rarities in the game. I know I say that every profile, but I still just can't get over how good this card looks. I love all of my play sets of my Asuka cards that sit in the binder because I'm not playing Isabel. But I do still get to play her, so I'm very excited. But again, just a draw PG again. Defensive draw, as well as, Sentinel, and that we can play a little bit more combo pieces in the main deck is absolutely perfectly fine there. So you don't have to do that. But if you wanted to, you can also, if you want to play more crits, you could cut a Pawn Belly and put in the Pawn Belly Sentinel crit, as well as play an extra copy of Curious Pony. That is always fine, but I just like the draw power, and I like the true PG, which I really enjoy. Then for the final little bit of triggers, we got a heals triggers here. We hate losing to aggro, but we also want some resource, so we're still continuing on the 3-1 split of Gifted Dragon and then Automism Koala, because, Great Nature is good. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Great Nature deck profile if we weren't playing Bless Flavor, aka Bless Favor, the best OT in the game, still in my opinion, next to Elder Breath. Elder Breath is a game winner, but the amount of value that this card puts you ahead is very, very strong, so please keep considering to play this card inside Great Nature because it gives a crit, and why don't we want a crit? So keep going. And then, of course, V-Starter, little Pants Boy. Can't hate on the Pants Boy. All right, now what everyone's coming here to see, the bling. No, I'm joking. But we'll throw this here, just that way you guys have to look at it for the rest of the profile. So yeah, let's start talking about the G-Zone baby, where all the homies hang out. First, we're going to start with the Wisdom Teller Dragon. The Wisdom Teller here is just standard. You want to be playing this card at all times, just because, again, the G-Belly access is very, very strong. Being able to get those double Excel markers and push. The reason I'm not playing the other triple arts is because I like to see its art, because I actually do think Wisdom Teller is really good art. So I had the old copy, so I was like, I'm going to split it. So that way my opponent knows what the effect is, but also I get to see the homie art. So that's why we're playing it. But his cool thing is that when his attack hits a Vanguard, you get to give your card when this unit attacks a Vanguard, this unit is 20k or greater, you draw a card. And it gets plus 4k, so like Spool Mary automatically hits the threshold, which is why we play the multiple copies of her, because at 23 plus restand or boost column, you can do some very cheeky plays, especially if you gave the on stride from the G-Belly onto the Spool Mary that you called with a booster behind the Spool Mary. So that way that you threaten Pot of Greed every time the Spool Mary swings. So, just a very, very cool interaction there where you get to draw a bunch of cards off Spool Mary just from her swinging and then her connecting. So just very, very good ride-up play that forces a lot of pressure on your opponent because you can just really skill gap them and card advantage. But that's the little secret tools of the trade with Wisdom Teller. Don't tell your friends, but also just go tell the Great Nature homies in the classroom. Then we got 2 copies of Bolaro here. I finally went back to 2. If you guys seen all my profiles, I was playing 1, but the more I played this deck and was coming back to this clan, I really wanted to focus on the attrition-based nature of Great Nature, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that you just get to threaten to, hey, draw a card and I retire my units is just really good return on a value with V-Belly as well as you're being able to push for very solid numbers too, especially after post history collection. So like you're guaranteed to have 3 cards face up, which is plus 12, which is going to typically push everything on your Excel markers over 20 and things like that. Like I've had triggers hit for like 25k starting off, which is a 15k guard into any type of deck. So it's just again very, very powerful, the fact that you have to commit 15k shield to guard a trigger, and then that trigger is going to draw me a card if it's a Curious Pony or a Pawn Belly. Is just very, very prominent. You really just want this card to be able to draw all these cards, and plus Blarl's the homie with the Revival Collection rarity. Love seeing him standing on that mountain. But don't worry, we're still playing the Calidrius. Calidrius, again, because we are in the Rhino-based version of Great Nature, this is still one of your primary win conditions of where your opponent goes, cool, I watched my opponent drive check a lot of triggers, but his hand is not that very much plentiful, so I can assume that he does not have either a lot of G guards, or B, a lot of non-grade 0 units. I can just kill him with Rhino because you won't be able to guard the Rhino appropriately with having no zeros, but you have to guard with 3 or more cards on a Rhino, especially if you drive check a crit. So everybody knowing what Calidrius does, if you're giving the free 10k to the front row rear guards, not himself. Bellaro goes everything, including its self power, not Calidrius. But being able to resend something that has 30 power or greater, which is automatically Rhino once it hits the success threshold on an Excel 2, lets you go and do that. So Calidrius, again, fantastic card. Don't sleep. Manic Armor, though, there's still some times where you just have 2 Crayon Tigers and a Rhino, or a Crayon Tiger and an Amazing Professor Bigbelly, and you just call the Rhino going second. If you ride a V-Belly, you can just get that Rhino huge off of Manic Armor's skill and just Bing Bot for games. So it still applies, but also the extension power in the G zone is typically what is actually flipped with a Calidrius, just to add more pressure as a generic Calidrius flip target. As we get into the final win con, we'll talk about the Sipticon. The Sipticon deck out loop is still valid, especially without Spangled. And it's not really that problematic with Spangled coming back, just because I would really love to see next week JP free my G Guard. Just because it's not prominent, and it's not going to put Great Nature into super high tier. It'll just have Great Nature have the good floor that it's always had, because we need our floor back, and if they're not going to give us new cards, I just really want Spangled back, man. So that way we can have this deck out loop be kind of good. I mean, it kind of sucks that we have to do this cheesy thing with the over trigger if we draw it, but it's kind of cool that we have access to this, and the fact that he gets our other rear guards really big by soul blasting to flip cards. We can just turbo flip through the G zone is very, very cool. So Sipticon is Bay. And then I hate removal, but I didn't want to play ladder, so we're playing the Aphonk just to prevent our cards from being retired. And then the last generation Stride SGR that Great Nature has, Fernigus, because Mega Colony dies to that card. And not necessarily dies, but we just get to gap Mega Colony in a lot of advantage, especially if they, don't get to do a whole lot, because then they have to weirdly go into Obturandus, and then what they do is they give us access to G guards back. So then what we can do is we can do the play with Amirage to call cards during my opponent's turn. But although we can't do that, but we get to I just completely misspoke. I completely forgot about that whole thing being turn wide. But it is what it is. I'm an idiot, but I will keep it in here because even the scholar makes mistakes. But it's really good here, Fernigus just being able to get resources back, especially if you don't want to commit hard next turn, you just kind of want to tank. This, helps you turn your rested rear guards if you don't have a lot of combo pieces back into combo pieces. They force you to Obturandus, and then they have to keep going into Gridora again because they probably won't get to a lot of their finishers unless they sack a lot of G guards. But it's also really good in Link Joker matchup to just cash in your rear guards. So we love Fernigus. Don't worry, Great Nature's local legends video coming soon. Sarasa Vera is still just a card. You can get to it sometimes depending on how the game goes. Again, just another finisher. Just if you have a large hand and you have the combo pieces in hand, you call the combo pieces, dump the rest of your hand if you need to kill them that turn, and then you possess a very threatening board that can be well over 100k columns. So you just love Sasha Vera for that. But it's our GB8, still playing our GB8 tried and true. And then of course Harmonix Messiah, because it's a staple, baby. You got to be playing this card and it's accessible. No ifs, ands, or buts now. 2 Ardillo, just because it's a free plot maker and draws his cards on V-Belly. Nothing really to say much there. Zankalpa, big G guard. Good old Shabbat Avil, big G guard. Or you can stack into a PG sometimes. And then all Mirage, still just to protect our Crayon Tigers that are left here, and just other stuff to be able to call and do more cheeky plays. Or you can cheat out Hanali's during the battle phase, which is really cool, and tilts Ryan every time I play him because he be on Spike Brothers, and Spike Brothers be losing hard to Hanalingus. But yeah, that is kind of it. For gift preferences, I still lean very heavy into the XL2 line just because we're a combo deck. We need to see our combo pieces, but you know, if you sack and you go high early, you know you can go XL1. So I still have these in here for in case I ever make these for some reason. But like, I love Kiyoyahagi. He's one of my favorites from the show and from the original series especially. We love like our little egotists like Ryusei from Blue Lock. So, you know, we just got our little egotist here in Vanguard, and he's lit. But with that being said, that's pretty much the deck profile. I'm very thankful that I'm, you know, kind of back experimenting with Great Nature again. I know I took a very long hiatus from the deck, but don't worry, I didn't sell anything. I was just like, I was really focused on, you know, trying to get really good testing for this format and trying to get ready, you know, to play everything between Katrina, Bugs, Grand Blue, everything like that, just to really lock in for the competitive season, as I really don't think that this deck has really good finishing out in the top 16 potential. But it can top, and it's topped like I think once or twice this season, but unfortunately no world qualifications with my favorite Panda Man. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is one of my favorite decks of all time. Great Nature is absolutely fantastic, and I really hope it gets really good support in the future. And we'll see what the fate of kind of premium is with Winterfest. But I really hope that this clan can come back to being a really good tier 2 deck. Kind of like how Victor is nowadays. I really want this clan to come back and be very relevant once again inside the rogue scene. But thank you guys again. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. And before we go, if you stick out this long, please go shop with my folks over at Dual Spec. They have made these amazing dice. You want these for sure, because these are fantastic. They're a little magnetic dice set for power. You're gonna need power and Great Nature. If I can get it open here, look at that, all the magnets, baby, and it just closes back over. So very good there. And if you're gonna catch me at BCS Tampa, I'm gonna have these 4 metal markers on me. The big chase being the Hari custom energy generator from My Metal Cards. If you guys see me, these are all first come first serve, by the way. I will be handing these out. But if you guys come and see me, for my Florida people and my South people and those that are traveling, I will definitely hook you up with one of those energy markers, or, you know, little energy counters here. I got a Keter Sanctuary and an Adelaide one, and then I have a good old Tamira Persona Ride and plus 5k power marker there that are all for you guys to grab. And don't worry, Toronto, you're gonna get some love too when I come out to see all of my Canadians. But again, I'm just very thankful that I get to do so much for the community. I know this was a super long outro, but I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day again and a wonderful rest of your week. I love you all, and God bless, baby, and take care.